Here we are. Thank you, everyone. That's from our partners, Photo Wings. So this time we have a particular, we usually talk about books here, but this time we're going to talk about different kind of publications, newspapers, in particular by my two dear colleagues, Eric Bouvet and Ali Arkady. So just before we move to that, I would like to say a few words about both Eric and Ali and about what are we going to talk about. So both Eric and Ali are member of 7 Photos, and their biographies are this big, so I'm actually gonna read just a tiny bit. So Eric's been, he just recently published another newspaper like this one, about 40 years of his career as a photographer. So you can only imagine the events he covered over the last 40 years. And a nice, good portion of what he did is unfortunately related to conflicts. And for that matter, I'm particularly personally attached to his work from Chechnya, which I've seen when I was this big, and which still to this day, every now and then I go back to it as a source of inspiration. So for those who don't know his work from the first Chechen War, you might want to have a look at it. And among countless accolades that he received for his work, he received 5 World Press Photo Awards, 2 Visa d'Or Awards, Bayou Calvados Award, Frontline Club Award, Paris Match Award, and so on and so forth. So for anyone who's not familiar with Eric's work, make sure to check it out. Obviously, Eric is French. On the other side, we have Ali Arkady, an Iraqi photographer, also, or should I say Iraqi Kurdish photographer, also a member of 7 Photo Agency. And he also reached, among various accolades he received for his work, he also received Bayou Prize for War Correspondence, partially for the work that we are going to talk about. As a kickoff, because both Ali and Eric have a multidisciplinary approach to their work, which includes both video and audio and podcasts and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be free to play 2 bits of their work just as a warm-up. In the meantime, feel free at any moment to ask questions in the chat room, and we will make sure to forward them to Ali or Eric so they can reply. So let me just play something that's gonna really bring closer Ali's and Eric's work. So just bear with me.
An ABC News investigation in a place where cameras rarely go, inside the fight against ISIS. This story involves a photojournalist embedded with Iraqi soldiers working with America to take down ISIS. But what this reporter witnessed on the front lines was far from heroic. He saw these U.S. allies torturing and murdering civilians, behavior that's being described as nothing short of sadistic. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross.
In the fight to destroy ISIS, these elite Iraqi soldiers have been praised by the U.S. as helping to lead the charge. These are the men of what's called the Iraqi Emergency Response Division, the ERD. They're battlefield experts captured in this combat video licensed by ABC News.
They are against ISIS and they are very strong.
The hours of video and still photos are the result of great battlefield courage by this Iraqi photojournalist, Ali Arkady, who was embedded last year with the Emergency Response Division. But tonight, Arkady is showing another kind of courage, blowing the whistle on soldiers he followed and became friends with. Revealing for the first time graphic scenes of torture and murder of civilians, some too horrific to be broadcast. It all raises the question of whether the U.S. is turning a blind eye.
Was this happening all the
This
time?
is happening all the time.
Arkady is an award-winning photojournalist whose work for the respected Agency 7 shows the human side of war.
I'm going to stop here. And I will stop here, but I will also share a link here for everyone who wants to see this program. So here, sorry, let me just share it for everyone. Here it is. And I will also quickly share something that it's relatively new, I would say. And I'm sure Eric will speak about it, but let me just play a few minutes of that as introduction. During his time in Ukraine, Eric produced a series of sonoramas, or I guess we can say closest to it is podcast. So I'm gonna again share a few minutes. It's in French, but
Tu m'entends? Oui. Ok. J'ai réussi à faire porte-à-porte Paris-Kiev en 30 heures. C'est du voyage non-stop, ça ne s'arrête pas. Avion, bus, voiture, train, plus voiture. J'arrive à midi, je suis très content parce qu'il me reste du temps pour travailler. Bon, j'ai pas beaucoup fermé l'œil, je suis parti, mais je suis surexcité évidemment d'être venu là et de pouvoir aller découvrir tous ces lieux qui ont été effectivement esquintés par la guerre. J'ai été surpris de prendre ce pont d'Irpin. Les Ukrainiens travaillent très très vite. La dernière fois que j'ai quitté Irpin, le pont était complètement cassé. Et là, ils ont trouvé le moyen, ils ont fait une route à côté, on peut passer en dessous. J'ai tourné autour. C'est toujours intéressant de retourner, entre guillemets, sur les lieux du crime. Je suis allé à la recherche de cette famille que j'avais trouvée vraiment très très proche de la ligne de front, les dernières maisons. Et c'était ce couple qui s'engueulait tous les jours parce qu'elle ne voulait pas partir à cause de sa mère qui était plus ou moins handicapée et lui voulait partir pour sauver les gamins. Et donc la dernière fois que je les ai vus, je suis parti et il y a donc une bombe qui est tombée. Il y avait 6 personnes qui étaient là, il y a qu'elle qui est morte. Je l'ai raconté déjà l'histoire dans les sonoramas précédents. Je suis retourné à l'appartement et là je suis tombé sur la mère de la dame qui est morte donc de ce couple. C'est terrible parce que je la regardais un petit peu accusateur. À cause de vous qu'elle est morte et vous êtes toujours là et vous ne voulez toujours pas partir. Et je suis désolé, c'est très déplacé, c'est un jugement, mais cette pauvre femme effectivement qui est avinée, qui est en fin de vie.
And I'm going to stop sharing it again, but I will share with everyone a link to this whole series of sonoramas that Eric did. So for French-speaking people, feel free to have a look here. So welcome, Eric, and welcome, Ali. Good to have you here. Okay, so the way this will go is it's going to be a conversation between 3 of us, obviously, and so we're not going to be going linearly, so to speak, but we're going to go back and forth. So since Ukraine is obviously in the news still, I'm gonna be free to start with asking a few questions to Eric. And actually my screen is flipped, but it doesn't matter. Let me just correct that. Okay, here it is. Now it's not. Yeah. So Eric, so what we're having here is a large format. It's probably about a little bit short of A3 format of your journal in Ukraine. You were among the first. Sorry, I'm gonna play it show it like this, but then you're gonna show some pictures. You were among the first journalists, if I remember, to cover the recent events and unfolding events in Ukraine. So can I just ask right there from the beginning, you've covered, I would say probably a dozen conflicts over the 40 years. So what really changed with Ukraine? What's different with Ukraine?
Hi. So first, I was not in the first one in Ukraine because as usual, since many years, I have trouble to find money to go on the spot. For example, I miss Iraq, where Ali did unbelievable work. I miss Iraq, I miss Syria, because I never found money, because the press in France and international press with the one I was working for during decades is anymore here for old man like me, I suppose. And in fact, so now, as you know, when you move, when you travel, you need money. And on a country, a conflict country, sometimes it costs a lot. For example, if you are alone, if you don't speak the language, you need a translator, a fixer. You need a car, so a driver. And of course, you must to sleep to the hotel. And if you move in the country, you take 2 people with you. It means you must to pay the expenses for all these people. It means it's something like more than $500 per day, and it's a cheap price. So you can imagine that you are not going on a country like that in a conflict just with your own little money. So that's why I was down before to leave, and I was upset because I am this year I was 61, and I was upset not to covering this conflict, because in fact this conflict is in Europe, somewhere geographic Europe, you know, and it was so big, so historical, because that's people must not forget. It's Ali, me, all the photographers, Ziyah, of course, all the photographers who are working on this sort of stories, who are working for the history. I'm sorry, I always push on this button, but this is very important. People don't realize that when they are living an event, for example, the COVID, okay, it was an unbelievable, crazy, worldwide moment, historic moment. And people don't understand really, they don't take care really about that, because living the history, that I know it, I live it since 40 years. And you are at the moment, you are not always understand what's well happening, and you don't have the level of, is this important like that, or is this a big event? It's not always easy to understand. But so history is something very important. And so I didn't find money, so I arrived something like a little week later, since the beginning. And in fact, I was trying to find a man I met in Maidan, who was the event of Ukraine in 2014. And I met there a guy and did a very famous picture who was viral there. He was wearing a Russian style helmet. And when I did the portrait, it was looking like the Second World War. And this picture was turning all over the world. And so I tried to meet him, and I met him again. And so now he's somewhere in Ukraine working with a special medic unit on the front line. And the deal was to do a story with him. And so, unfortunately, he left very quickly in the night when I was in leave. I met him there, and he left very quick. I miss him. I met him only 2 months later, but so it was a little bit too late for this story. So, and I'm sorry, I'm not answering to the question, I think.
Well, I'm just curious how, for you as a foreign reporter, Ukraine was different than all other events you covered.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that. Frankly, this is a shame to say, but that people must understand. I say it very clearly and not with no judgment. It's the first time in 40 years of work we are covering a war of white people, only white people, and Christian people, and they are wearing the same clothes. And something was very strange to see, that we never see that before too. It's when they left, when they gone, when it was the Exodus, what they take? Just a little bag with them, the kids, and what? Their pets, the dogs, the cats, like we have in France, in England, in Occident, you know. And it was the first time we saw that. It was very something near like home. So it was very, very strange. I'm sorry to say that, covering many wars in Africa or Middle East or Asia. And this time it was like at home. So it was very strange. And so, of course, it was Russia. So Russia, we know that it was, because we think that China is a much more level up now. Russia was the second most important forces in the world. And so we were ready to accept that Ukraine can be down very quickly, you know. So it was a surprise for everybody that they resist, and I was very surprised about that too, because when I spoke with the people when I arrived quickly there, they were already confident. They were somewhere smiling and answering to my question to tell them, you know that Russians are coming, and what you will do? Oh, what we will do? We will fight and we will win. They were really optimistic. It was unbelievable. For the first day of the war, Russians arrive in your country. You can imagine what does it mean. It's not a little war. And so they were completely optimistic. They said, we will win. Very confident. It was very strange.
I just want to change gears, so to speak, here. Ali, so unlike Eric, where he traveled to Ukraine to cover a war there as a foreign journalist, you covered the country. You covered the war in your own country, which I have a little bit of experience of that, because I didn't cover my country when it was in war, but I lived through it. So I'm just curious if you could summarize, how does it feel to cover war in your homeland, especially now that you also covered Ukraine and so on and so forth? So how, if you could put it in like sort of 2 sentences, how does it feel to cover your own country at war?
Thanks. First, I realized that when I started doing really journalism, I did documentary. I love documentary since 2003. I document a lot. After the war, I went to Baghdad with the tube camera, not photo, video. Then when I start to doing journalism and to understand what's mean journalism after 5-6 years, then for me it was important to just start to document, and because I realized there's a lot of story which is not people they don't know about in Iraq. And then was for me really important when I start to realize how journalism have a power, photo, video, writing. And then that is push me and give me motivation to start to focus about human being project in Iraq. And since 2008-9, I started to travel everywhere in Iraq and just focus about stories, telling something which is no one they care about, just me or maybe some friend we were together. Yeah, that was the feeling was for me, how Eric mentioned history is important, and it was like one of the main feeling or main things about the work what I want to do in Iraq. It's about history and transfer something for the new generation, which is we come up, we burn in the war, like we are children of the war in Iraq, and then we see a lot of things we couldn't document. We didn't have that knowledge, and it was not easy for anyone to document. It was forbidden. Anyone they hold the camera and document somewhere in Iraq. then for me was really important. Now I have these tools and knowledge. Why not? Let's bring back past and try to mention or explain something happening in the past with a new event.
I just started sharing some of the content from Strappado. Just going to share here as well. It also comes in a similar format as Eric's. It's exactly A3. And I was fortunate enough to work on this to help Ali edit, sequence, and produce this publication, which was done in collaboration between 7 Photo Agency, 7 Academy, 7 Foundation, and Center for Global Reporting from Canada. So, can you? So you were, if I'm not mistaken, you were embedded with this as the ABC clip at the beginning said. You were embedded with this emergency response division, right?
Yeah.
So how was? So by the way, how did you? How does? I mean, I am. For those who don't know, embedded means that you were essentially attached to a unit, that you would spend prolonged period of time with them, basically share space with them and time. And that became common. That's a common practice. It started all the way during the Vietnam War, well, actually even in the Second World War, but with the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, and later on again in Iraq, it became pretty much the only way to cover the story, right?
Exactly.
So how did this relationship evolve? Because if I remember, when you joined them, these people, these guys that you can see, apologies, in these photos were seen as liberators. So I'm just curious to see how this relationship evolved between you and them.
I'll try to describe that with them very shortly, because it's quite complicated to explain that relationship with a short time, but I'll try to explain.
Take your
something.
time, no rush, no rush, no rush.
Okay, great. And as you know, me with you, when I arrive Bosnia in the 7 Academy, me with you, I think we review like 40,000 image and videos on part of my archive to just try to find a way how we can do the how we can do this newspaper and which kind of subjects we need to focus about. In the end, we end up to focus about this project, which is that name, you just find it when we see ABC's news and you say Strappado, and you told me, what's mean that? So obviously I don't know. And we come back and we go and we research and we find what's mean Strappado. I'd love after that if you can explain about that word. Then, as you know, when you see my footage, I was close of the people all the time. I was working and following people in Iraq. If with film, if as a long-term project photography, it's a photo story medium most of the time, or photo essay. And then when the war started, 2014, I was already in the mentor program, 7 Photo Agency. And then it was the first day, 2014 and July, I think. Then I start to work in the same method when I had in my style, following people on the wall, which is most of the time was personal project. Sometimes I get assignments, sometimes not, but I didn't have problem with that. I just continue following that. And then as Eric, he said about, you need to go someplace to cover some war. You need money, you need fixer, you need this and this and this. For me, in Iraq, I know the language, I know everything. I can go stay with a friend, It was, I can find people, which was more easier for me if we compare myself with the foreigner, even in the war, even in the front line, because when you get trust and when they know you and you work with some agencies, foreigner, not local, they will give you opportunity, you know. Then I started to do several projects, 2014, 15, film and photos, still until now not published. Still I have in my archive, but in that time, my purely focus was about documents in a good way. And then I will see what I can do with the footage because I didn't have time. Because the situation was very fast, every day war, ISIS. No one they know what's mean ISIS 2014 and 15. It was kind of part of my research, investigation, answer a lot of questions, myself, my family, all the friends also. Then I went to Kurdistan, Iraq, Baghdad. I get a lot of assignment. I work with a lot of magazines, newspapers, post some project in Seven Photos agency. Then 2000 in October 2010, 2016, Fallujah operation started. And as you know, Fallujah, it's seen a lot of war. It's like US, with the US, they had 2-3 fighting and war inside Fallujah. And then after that, with the current Iraqi governor. And then ISIS, you know, they go through a lot of war and they had a lot of consequences. For me, as an Iraqi journalist, I decide to go in Fallujah, to not come back until when they liberated. I need to be there because for me, it was really interesting place. I need to understand what happened there. What was the problem? Why the violence very strong there? Then through a friend, I start to know these forces, Emergency Response Division, ERD, Iraqi ERD. I went in the media center, I know them, I stay with them 2-3 days. And then through another friend, I know this troop. And he told me, okay, let's go to see them. They are very strong. They are doing this. And he showed me some videos they are published in Facebook, what they do. I said, okay, let's go to see them. And I spent with them. Then I reached them place, I think first week when I arrived, next 5 days. Then I met them. We stayed 3 days, 4 days in the base in Saglawiya in Fallujah. It was calm. There's no fighting, but I start document daily life every day. And they just told me, why you do this? Why you need this footage? It was like really different with any media they work with them or they saw during 5-6 years when they are part in the Iraqi army. Anyway, this troop that was part of the intelligence office and in the ERD branch. It was intelligent branch, part of ERD forces. And also they have branch 1, 2, 3. This was the special forces of this branch. And also they have another 2 tasks, reconnaissance and snipers. And then in Fallujah, I spent 2-3 days, 4 days with them. And I get permission to follow them more, to do film and photography project, like photo stories, long-term project. Anyway, and they don't let me to continue work with them a lot. I came back to the base, I called them, I saw them in the front line 2-3 times. I published something in the social media. I created kind of a platform it's called Happy Baghdad with my friend. We post something about them story. And then that time I contact my mentee, I send him the proposal. I told him, look, I have a project. I need to follow 2 soldiers, one of them from Sunni sect, another one Shiite. And then they are officer and another one, he's the assistant. And then if we come back to see the history of this war or why this war has happened, you can see these 2 sects, Shia and Sunnah, they kind of fighting each other all the time after 2003 with the civil war, US Army, and now with ISIS. And now I saw these 2 soldiers together side by side. They go to front line and they fight to liberate these village, cities, towns, and also comfort the enemy. And then that was the main and very good and positive subject I want to follow. And I want to work about.
So when did you, sorry to interrupt. So when did
No, it's fine. We don't hear you. Sorry, we don't hear you. There's no sound. Sorry.
Hear me now? Yeah. Okay. So can you tell me when did you realize that things are not as they seem to be?
Okay. In October until May, June, I think, Fallujah get liberated by Iraqi army. And then I just went to Europe for 40 days. I had a tour and I had also assignment in Germany following Iraqi journalists. I work from the first time I did assignment in Europe at that time, photography. And then in October, I back and I get assignment for Der Spiegel, and then only good contact I have was with ERD, Media Center. And then I just contact them. I say, okay, I need to spend with you 10 days. I have assignment. I'd like to cover the war in Mosul or the operation. It was really the first week when the operation started in Mosul. It was in October. Then I went, I met same people, and then they told me, Ali, please stay with us. Continue our project. I will, because we see the photo was very nice, it's published somewhere, and also we saw you when you speak about our stories on TEDx stage, TED stage, I think I was called like that, in Baghdad, in front of prime ministers. And then they kind of, I get trust, you know, they know me, I am there, they thinking I am support them anyway, you know, and then they let me go. I told them, please, I can't because I'm really tired. I need to focus about my book project and something else, blah, blah, blah. And also I promised my father and my wife, I will not go to frontline this time. He said no, and then I decided continue. I went back home, November 15, I think it's November 2010. When I back, they change the place. They liberate some village and they go and they stay in the Gabr al-Abad base. And then Hammam al-Adil city area. And then at that time, I start what they do. Why? Because we didn't go, why? Because all the operation to go forward to Mosul, stop. It was the decision by Iraqi army and coalition army. And then we stopped from 1 month, and I didn't have anything to do. Then just document the daily life every day. Wake up, sometimes we go to the front line, sometimes they have some kind of fighting, and I come back with them and I follow them in this way, like daily life. And I had really great footage, videos, and photos in that time since Fallujah until November, like 6-7 months. Then I start see what's happening there. First time they don't let me to document. Sometimes they told me stop here, document the introduction, but the investigation, but don't record the beating or the churching. It was not that strong. After a few days, I was there. I was every day, every time there with my camera, I shooting, and they start to accept me in that place, and kind of they not. And that when you mentioned that, I was there, like part of the place, and they don't feel very strange if I shoot or not. And then I start to shoot everything. Sometimes they realize I have that in the videos. They said, stop, don't shoot this. But already I shoot some. And then this starts happening 1 week, 1 time, 2 times, like what you see. And they told me, okay, Ali, we cannot tell you every day, every time, cut everything. You know what you do? They are ISIS. They are not civilian. And we do that. And that part, which is mentioned as a bad soldier, cut it in the montage. And I realize now they kind of dealing with me with the same journalists, local journalists, when they come from local TVs, which is related by any party or related by them, which is they do that. And they thought I am like that. And then they don't know how I think. And then 23, I realized, obviously, the heroes, when I follow in Fallujah, they start change. They are not heroes anymore from me. And then I start to see what they do. And sometimes they let me again, sometimes not. But that time I decided with myself, be more quiet, not speak a lot, not involve too much. If they told me, I will go. If not, I will not do anything. And then I start to have really hard psychological situation. It was not the effect my brain, because all like in the front line, you have kind of this dopamine is going up, going down, you cannot control it. But something it's changed. It was the heaviness on my shoulder. Day by day, this camera, this stuff start to be heavy without I know what's mean that. Maybe it was good because I just continue to investigate and start to work. Obviously, what's happening, it was 15 November 23, obviously, the strong things, November until 22, 23 September. That period of the time, it was like the last month of 9-month shooting or 9-month project. It was just the last month. And in the end of that, we can, after that, if you have any questions, we can go with some details. But then this is the story. I think it's important people to know how this embedded or how I was there and with which reason I was there. It was just about positive and good project, follow something to show people in the future. This Sunni and Shiite guy, they fighting together, stop war. in Iraq. And this is what my perspective as an Iraqi human and also as a journalist, I try to show that side and this side and mix together and to show my people, look, don't worry, there's no problem. Also, I thinking in a very romantic way too. Maybe this project could stop the war or just maybe doing something positive. But obviously it was not like that because I discovered a lot of things which is not working in the same way how I think in that time. And now, if you ask me about the war in Iraq and all the things, my experience, my perspective, it's really different.
We'll get back to that. Let me just, before we switch back to Ukraine, I just want to, because I was involved in this, and there's actually a few questions, but just to clarify, when we were editing, I forgot how many tens of thousands of images. This image, obviously, and it's not the only one like that, because it repeats itself also at the very end. I was curious, well, we were curious, like what kind of torture this is. What is this? Because it's, if you look at it, it doesn't really look like, inverted commas, horrible torture. You know, we can imagine much worse kind of torture. So we start researching it, and we found out it's actually medieval method of torture called Strappado, which basically is designed to not to kill you, but to cause extreme discomfort and eventually dislocate the victim's shoulders. So that's how we got to the title. Ali, just hold on for a second there. Eric, thank you for your patience. So this is actually also a question from the audience. Let me just say exactly from whom. Adrian is actually asking, and this is a question for both of you, but perhaps you can answer it, Eric. So why the newspaper format? Now, obviously, your work has been shown and our work is shown in books, papers, and so on and so on. But why did you, Eric, opt for newspaper format? And while you'd answer that, sorry, can you show us some of the pictures from Ukraine, from this particular publication? Can you share some of the stuff?
First, before to answer to this question, I'm very impressed by the work of Ali, and we have no idea what does it means for a photographer to covering a war in his own country. We have no idea. I have no idea. And as I met some friends in Ukraine, photographer in Ukraine, they're covering the war in their country, so we have no idea. About special forces, as you said, Ziyah, I've worked with Russian special forces in Chechnya, and I don't know why I am the only one in the world to have worked with intelligence service special forces Russian in the world. So, and it was a very bad experience, I can say that, because same as Ali, I saw torture, I saw killing, they kill people in front of me like that, and it's a very strange situation, because you know that's what you see, you should not see it, and I was not local, you know, and I was sleeping very badly, because first it was war every night, and they were looking for Chechen to ask them questions. And the problem was, in fact, I was asking me if I could see the day coming, you know. I was pretty sure each night they could kill me because they could understand that it's unbelievable. They show me what they do. And in fact, at least it was very strange too, because they saved my life. So as you know, that when another human saves your life, it's you have a different way of thinking about him, even if he's doing something very more than badly, to kill people, you know. So nothing is black or white. It's very difficult to work with that, and I can imagine for Ali it's worse because this is his own country.
Before we go, I would like to reply also here. And I think the feeling is same feeling. You know, even when I went in the border in Ukraine, it's when I do like covering a refugee in Iraq. For me, it's the same feeling of the refugee. And then when you describe now also about that situation, yeah, every day in the end of the times, every day was for me, maybe they will kill me because it was really scary. There's a lot of things is happening, and I write it down on the before to publish these stories, and you can read it. It's really a lot of information about all the process I went. It's obviously yes, it's a feeling. It's really disastrous, and when you be there, they just try to. They think you are like them, you know, because they see the life and they see everything in their perspective, and they thought you are same, you know. And then yeah, I'm agree with you on that point. Yeah.
So yes, so Eric, again, so just to remind, so why opt? So we are living in all digital world, right? So why even bother to print anything, let alone something that you put together? Well, first you photographed it, you raised funds to get it published, you worked on design and so on and so on, and then you put it in the newspaper format. So why?
Because it's smelling ink and paper.
Works for me.
And you will
works for
never
me.
have that with your screen of your computer. No, more seriously, but that's right, it's very good because I put them in a plastic bag, and so when you open it, you smell it. Where is the ink? So it's I'm a man, old man, so I know what means print. And in fact, last year, my daughter, Cherry, she told me that, hey, this is your 40 years of work, so let's do a newspaper. Oh, okay. And what else? I say, yeah, we'll do it. And in fact, my wife and everybody work on it, and we did this 40 years of work with the newspaper. And so, war in Ukraine arrived, and it was complicated to find money to live, as I said before. And for the second trip, we did a crowdfunding, and we have it was a big success, like the 40 years work. It was a very big success, and so I have enough money to covering my expenses and to produce the newspaper. And it was somewhere it's easy to do, you know, it's not so complicated. And also I love all sort of photography, okay, but I'm a man of press. I work for the press, for Time Magazine, for Newsweek, for Life, for Stern, for Sunday Times Magazine, for Paris Match. All the great newspaper in Occident, I work for them during decades. So for me, it's logical to do a newspaper. It's and you know, when you open it, you have a very big format. You don't see anymore big double page like that. You know, it's when you get
Would you
them,
mind?
it's
Yeah, it's a solid piece of paper. Yeah, it's like.
yeah, it's 56 pages, and so.
Would you mind sharing some of the pictures, some of the highlights,
Yeah,
please?
let's try. It's easier to turn the pages. Huh?
I'm in black and white. It's a pity.
Should be that, I think. I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go
we got
full
it.
screen. You have to
Okay.
go full screen. Can you just go full screen?
Yeah, looking for that. Sorry. And yeah, that's
Still. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
okay. Anyway, and there is a first page, second page, few text, and as you can see, there is a QR code, and you can scan them, and you have the sonorama with.
Okay.
This is the
Okay,
name in
got
French, QR code. I think that's the same in English. I don't know. Sorry. And so after it's a big double page like that. So few of them I'm very they are somewhere very strong to me. As for example, this one was unbelievable. It's like a cinematographic, scenic. You know, it's And for to give some advice for people who ask them a few questions, for example, we arrived very early in the morning to the hairpin bridge. As you see it, this is the hairpin bridge. And there is a thousand of people crossing in the morning, and a real exodus. And I was working in midday in hairpin, and it was bombing. Well, okay, and it was a little bit dangerous. And I came back, and I saw that the press left because there was, I don't remember how many hundreds of photographers, cameramen, and journalists on this point. It was easy to go from Kiev, you know. And I wait there. I don't know why. I wait there, and nobody came. And suddenly, this priest, Orthodox priest, arrived, and he was waiting for a few people crossing the bridge to give them so the good action. And he was, look at how easy. It's unbelievable. He's stand by on the car with his phone. It's somewhere. It's for me. It was very strange. And we are only two photographers, if I well remember, to do that. You know, and so there is few like that, like this one. It's very quiet, scenic. You know, all the people are very quiet. They gone. They left everything. You know, and you can see there is the same place from the left to the right side. So our eyes is turning to the faces always first, and of course the colors, you know, the blue on the left and the pink, and what is doing this blue object in the water, you know, and the yellow bicycle. It's a line also, like the people. I really appreciate to do these pictures. It's really it's not a news picture, you know. It's a picture where you ask you question, you know. It's this sort of picture I love to do. Is picture where people are, and there is few like this one, for example, or this strong, you know, or this woman. Everything is. This woman is worrying the world, you know. She doesn't want to leave because she lost. She's on the front line. This building is on the front line, but there are poor people, and it's always the same thing. When you were inside the center downtown of Kiev, the capital, okay, it was totally empty. Everybody is gone. Everybody, okay. And when you arrive to the suburbs and on a place where there is a war, some people stay. Who are these people? They are poor people because they have nowhere to go. They have no money and they don't know where to go. And this is this sad story. I can do it after with this little girl. This is the daughter of this woman on the right here. And this woman was married and she has two kids. She doesn't want to leave. And after I left them on this place, a bomb arrived and killed the woman. And so the father and the two kids left. And this woman didn't want to leave because her mother, who is here with her cat now, her mother was very old. And that's why this woman doesn't want to leave. And she died. And so now the father and the husband, and the three kids left, and the mother of this woman who is killed stay alone in this apartment. And she can move, she can walk, she's very old, and she's crying because, in fact, the neighbors say, "You have killed your daughter." This is the sort of story you can make on a war zone, and it's very powerful. It's very awful. It's very strong, and so I'm sorry. The picture is like that because I have some pictures you must turn the newspaper to have a big double page and on a vertical. So I don't want to show you all pictures, but I'm just perhaps the last one like that. This one. This one is like the picture of the priest. It's a cinematographic picture.
Yes. Can you please explain a little bit in detail this particular photo? I know what it is, but can you just explain what's going on here?
It's same thing. It's just very near from the Irpin bridge. It's another day when I get out from the Irpin and after the bridge walk there. I was leaving back to Kiev, and I found these three men who are thieves. In fact, they stole in the houses of people because people left, and the army takes them and they attach them to, as you can see them here, and they put them off their trousers, pants, and they put them a potato in the mouth. And I was surprised because there is something like perhaps 30 photographers and 20 cameramen. So all international press did that. During 1 hour, they stay like that. And I wait for that, no people on the back for to be strong. I think that picture is enough strong like that. And I was, when I push on the button of that, I understood that it's not the sort of scene you can see it usually, you know. It's a very special picture. And I was pretty sure that the day after we could see that everywhere, you know. And in fact, it was the opposite. Nowhere. I was the only one to put them on the web. There is no pictures in the newspaper. There is no TV. Nobody use it, you know, because all the media make censure. They did their own censure of that for not to show that, in fact, Ukrainian could do also some things were not really clean, you know. So it's I'm sorry. It's I have nothing. Of course, I have many Ukrainian friends, and I'm totally there with these poor people, as we can saw it, like this old woman, and I'm really near from the human. And as you know, we know that Russian attack Ukraine. Okay, but so I did this picture because I did a mistake when all my life. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit long about that, but I did a mistake all my life. It's I censure myself always. I miss much more pictures than I did good picture, because mostly of the time I saw so awful things you have no idea. And when I was on the spot to see horrible things, and I tell to myself, okay, I did the choice to be here. People who are in France, in America, in Bosnia, everywhere, they don't have to see that. I did my own judge, and I did a mistake. Because as you know, that something is interesting is the society is moving, okay? And the vision of people is moving too, with the time, okay? And I should shoot these pictures, not to show them at the moment, but to keep them. And perhaps to show them 2 years after, 5 years after, 10 years after, it depends, you know. And it will be good to keep them for the history. Because the only good example is, of course, everybody knows that when the photographers and cameramen did pictures of the camp in the Second World War in Poland, in Germany, in 44, 45, it was certainly one of the awful things in the world we can saw, of course. And if they didn't push on the button and say, oh, it's awful, we can do that, certainly today there is a lot of people for to say, but yes, we have no evidence. It doesn't exist, you know. I hope that my French is clear. I'm sorry.
It is, absolutely.
My English, my French accent, and my poor English, I'm sorry. And so
it is.
This is important. In fact, you must do picture and keep them, and you will decide or not to when you can propose them. And I think Ali did them well to show what he showed us. We must to show that, you know, for to finish. I'm sorry, Ali. I let you speak after. It's for to finish about that. It's there is no clean war. Okay. Man could be a beast. They could be beast very quickly. It's very easy that every one of us could become a beast. Okay. That's definitely, I'm pretty sure. I saw too many hours in 40 years. So and there is no clean war. So I'm sorry.
Can I? We have time for one more question, and I think you should both answer it. From Jonathan, and it's for both question for both of you, which not necessarily is related to this particular body of work, Ukraine or Iraq, but it's a very commonly asked question, but I think it's always important to address it. So if you could single out single biggest personal challenge that you find, both of you, working in this kind of environment, war environment. Ali? I mean, you had to leave your country, so that's, anyway, maybe you should, I don't know, what's your biggest personal challenge when finding yourself in such environment, or in particular, Iraq?
You can repeat, sorry, because I was like,
Sorry.
because the screen, I didn't find the button. And you can repeat the question.
Yes, so what would be the single biggest personal challenge for you when you were making this body of work, Strappado, or Iraq, but also in general, what is the biggest single challenge when working in conflict environment for you?
Well, it's really difficult to answer that question because it's independent with your personal feeling and the environment when you grow up. As I mentioned, I born inside the war, Iran-Iraq war. We are 7 kilometers far away in the border. Obviously, there's no any things, we feel, we smile, we look every day we had until now, it was war. If you go to the history, 1982, until now, just for me, 5 years ago, I just left my country. The big challenge or big, for me, I was looking for any tools, element to try to describe the situation. But then the journalism was the big, powerful strongness, because I'm already artist, but just I left when I realized this is the element which is let me to explain myself, to help my country. That is the really person. And then maybe I can help another place if I need to do something. My way of work was human being, journalism, and artistic. And then I mix everything together. Because that I feel responsibility when that is the problem maybe sometimes when you think, when you realize something, you feel responsibility because you are human and you are honest with yourself. And even I really respect Eric when he speak about the last moment about, he said, I'm sorry not doing that. It's really honest because when you be honest, if past that moment, but people, they catch it anyway. And when you say that word is not clean, I know what you mean exactly. Then that's really important. Even with the word is coming up, it's important for us. For me, I'd love to go through, I love to stay long as possible in Iraq, to cover more story, to transfer a lot of stories, thinking, be part in that place, to give something to people because we go through a lot. We saw a lot. I was 10 years old with my mother. I see bodies of Kurdish fighters close of my town. The dog, he's eaten the body, but we couldn't speak. We couldn't help because the Saddam regime at that time. And then that scenes, which is for me, if I have good time, if I have some power to do something, why not? And with the decision, it was not easy for me to have any decision to leave your country. It was something impossible for me because I had a plan a different way. But sometimes when you are one person and your family, one family, say I see thousands of family in Iraq. They have the same situation in the front line in Mosul, in the western region, Sunnis. And for me, I have evidence, I have this knowledge, and even I didn't stop one minute to think, to not thinking, to not publish or speak about, because that directly I went out, directly we work about, directly with the 7 photos, we try to put it, and that all consequences is coming up because one decision, it was just feeling to survive another people, to try to keep them safe more, and they try to stop these armies. If I am I will have big consequences, because at the end of the day, when I saw that, I didn't feel I'm exist anymore. I didn't feel I'm human if I'm not talked about. I know the consequences will be very hard. Threatening my names, they destroyed my names in Iraq since 3, 4, 5 years, and they threatening my family and everything. Directly with my face, I went to the media without to stop thinking about myself as a human, as a soul, if I can lose it anytime. Those are the things. I don't know if I answer your question well, or I maybe speak a lot about another stories to just explain more the feeling, but I know if it was good or not.
Sure, it was. And for you, Eric,
But
what would be the
So, first of all, of course, it's I'm sorry, it's very primary, but it's just to stay alive first, because we have so many friends who disappeared, who are killed, or who are wounded. And so first thing is always, as we know, it's to take care of ourselves. And at the same level is something very important. You remember that we spoke about history at the beginning. And in fact, when you shoot people, when us photographers, we shoot people, we should, no, it's not we should, we must, okay, we must to take care of them, we must to keep them their dignity. Why? Because of course they are human like us, you know, and they are in a difficult situation, awful situation. We must to keep their dignity, because in fact these pictures we do, okay, it's these people who stay in the history. This is these people who stay in the books of history, and for infinity, you know. We make pictures for this story, so all these people we shoot, we must to take care of them, because they are there for the infinity.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Eric, Ali, thank you very much. Again, everyone, I posted a few links here if you would like to get your own copy of Strappado or Ukraine. And thank you for joining us again. Everyone stay safe, and see you soon. Thanks, Eric. Bye, Ali. Take care.
thank you very much.